Hi, and welcome to Muzzle First. Today we are going to field strip and clean the Kimber Solo Carry. Alright, this is a small, compact, pocket-size 9mm handgun. And I don't know if you've seen my other video on it or not, but today we're going to take it apart, clean it, and put it back together, get it ready to go to the range. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is clear the gun. Alright, nothing in the chamber. To disassemble the Kimber Solo is actually pretty simple. There's a takedown lever just like there is on a 1911, and there's a notch in the frame right here that lines up with that. So the first thing we're going to do after clearing the firearm, you're going to line that notch up with the takedown pin and then just push the pin out. Alright, you can get it started from this side, and then once it's started you can just grab it and pull it out as long as it's lined up. This has a really stout recoil spring in it, so it's kind of hard to get that lined up properly and keep it lined up properly. In order to remove the slide, you're going to have to pull the trigger. Alright, then it should just slide off. The slide will come right off the frame. We can set the frame aside because we're going to wipe this out a little bit, but we're not going to use any cleaners on it. Alright, set the magazine aside. And I'm also going to set the takedown pin aside. Alright, we're going to wipe this down, but that's about all we're going to do to it. Alright, we're going to remove the guide rod and recoil spring. And to do that, you simply just pick up on the back of it and slide it out. We're going to remove the barrel, same way. We're going to pick up on the barrel, on the back of the barrel. And I found that if you turn it, if you rotate it just a little bit, clockwise, it'll slide out a lot easier. Alright? That's what the barrel looks like. So that's the first thing we're going to clean. We're going to put some lubricant in the barrel, let that start working, then we'll go to work on the slide. A few things I'm going to use. Just a standing cleaning rod. I'm going to use some patches. I also have a small stack of Q-tips. And then I have a brush. The brush, I'll show you what that's for here a little bit later. Alright? For cleaning it today, I'm just going to use rim oil. Alright, rim oil is very gentle. It dries, it does not stay wet, and works really good on a carry gun. But I am going to use it without the sprayer. Alright, I'm just going to dip my patches in there. Alright, so let's go to the bore first. Let's get the bore started soaking. Alright, we're just going to put a patch on here. I'm going to dip it in the rim oil, and we're going to go through the bore. You are going to make a little bit of mess on your table, so if you don't have if your table is, this oil is going to soak into it, you might want to put tile down or something. But I have a surface on this one that's going to resist oil, so we should be good there. All right, that should be good there. I'm just going to take that same patch and we're just going to wipe everything down. Barrel and everything. Should not take us very long at all. Alright, let's see if we can get the come off in here. Well, that's pretty easy to clean actually. It's not that bad at all. You can see we're getting a lot of dirt in here. And you always want to clean your the bolt face right here where the firing pin protrudes. You don't want to put a bunch of oil down in there by the firing pin. You want to leave that area pretty much dry. Alright, because excess oil down in there is just going to cause you a problem. It's going to build up. Alright, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a Q-tip. I'm going to dip this Q-tip in my rim oil. And I'm going to use this Q-tip to clean down in the lugs here in the slide. All those areas that I couldn't get to with that towel, like that. Including the rails here on the slide. We're going to go over those real nice. And you also want to clean here where the barrel protrudes through the slide and where the guide rod protrudes through the slide. Alright, be sure and get the powder residue out of there. And that should be about all you have to clean here as far as the slide's concerned. You don't want to get a bunch of oil down in here, All right, so you don't want to be spraying oil up in here. You can spray a little bit of oil here on the sides and on the frame rails. Won't hurt anything. Oil's not going to hurt anything up here, but you definitely want to keep it away from your firing pin channel down here, firing pin spring. All right, swipe down the outside just to get rid of any oil powder residue that might be out there. All right. The other thing I'm going to use is just a white towel. All right, it's a soft towel. We're going to use this to wipe everything down with. We're just going to take off all the cleaner and lubricant that we just put on it. Minus a little bit, of course. It always leaves a little bit on there. But clean everything off of here that we can get. Now you can also use a toothbrush or a plastic gun cleaning brush if you want. It's not actually a bad idea to use a small brush on your bolt face right there, because that does get really dirty. But this gun's only had a couple hundred rounds through it, so I'm not that worried about it being real dirty. I just want it to be clean and lubricated when I go to the range. Alright, so that's all we're doing right here. Alright, so there's a little bit of stuff in there that I can't get with the towel, so I'm going to use a dry Q-tip. And I'm just going to go in these little cracks here. Alright, I'm just forcing that Q-tip down here in the nooks and crannies in here. I guess that's technically a word, nooks and crannies. And we're going to remove all that oil in here. Just get everything off of there we can. Alright, that looks pretty good actually. We'll set that aside so it's not in the puddle of oil. Let's dry off the barrel. I'm going to leave the inside of the barrel wet for just a little bit longer, alright? And then we'll take care of that in a minute here. These little towels like this, you can use a t-shirt material if you want. I actually purchased these at Lowe's and Home Depot. They're what painters use. So they're in the aisle with the paints. They're painters towels, so they use them for in the process of painting. That's what I use. Alright. Your guide rod and your recoil spring don't generally collect a whole lot of powder residue. But I am going to give it a quick wipe down. Alright, I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to the recoil spring and the guide rod. Powder residue, even if it's on it, it's not going to really affect the function of this part here. But I do want to clean it a little bit. Alright, the last piece here is your takedown pin. Alright, I'm just going to wipe it down real briefly. I seriously doubt there was any powder residue on it, but now I know there's not. Alright. Alright, so now let's go inside that bore and let's see what we get out here. I'm just going to take a dry patch on my cleaning rod, and we're going to go through the bore. Notice I am going from the chamber end to the muzzle. The muzzle end here on any barrel, rifle, pistol, whatever, you want to protect it. You don't want to do a lot of cleaning from this side. Your cleaning rod, even a brass one, can start to wear on the finish here and wear on the spots on the edge of the barrel, and may cause problems with accuracy. So always go from the chamber end just to be safe. That looks pretty good actually. Let's get a look down the barrel. See if we can get a nice look down there. See, nice and shiny. I did not use a brush on the barrel. I generally don't unless I have to. You can use a brush if you want to get every little spot of powder residue, and I notice that there is right there. We're going to pay a little extra attention to that right there. Then yeah, you probably want to use a brush on it, but I did not. There we go. A little bit of elbow grease, that's all that needed. See that? It's coming right off of there. Alright. Let's wipe that down, and I think that part will be good. See, I told you this wouldn't take very long. Alright. The frame, the only thing I'm really going to do with the frame, I'm going to push my towel down through the magazine well just to catch any powder residue that may have fallen down through there. And I'm going to wipe this out, and I'm going to wipe on the sides right here. You can actually see on the sides right there, there is powder residue in there. So we do want to clean that. But I'm not going to spray a bunch of cleaners in there. I'm just going to wipe it out. If you start getting a buildup in here, you might want to actually use a cleaner in it. But for right now, I'm just going to wipe it out. You can use cleaners in here. I wouldn't get a lot of cleaner by the springs here, although I do believe Kimber does recommend putting 1 drop of oil on your springs. Sorry, I was off camera there. They do recommend putting 1 drop of oil in there. All right, let's just push this through there. I'm just going to push this dry towel through there. And I'm trying not to hook on any kind of springs. I'm just going to pull it through. Alright, and you're looking for any kind of powder residue that might still be in there. And you don't have to get every little bit of powder residue off. We're just going to wipe it down, any of the heavy stuff. Alright, and that's all you got to do. Alright, so this is your Kimber Solo, and it's cleaned and field stripped components. You've got the slide, you got the frame, you got the barrel, you got the recoil springs and guide rod, and your takedown pin. Alright, we're going to apply a little bit of oil here before we put it back together. And that's what I'm going to use this brush for. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little brush, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the tip of this brush. And I'm going to oil the slide. Alright. It's roughly a drop of oil is what this brush will hold. Alright, so I'm just going to dip it in there. Shake off the excess. I'm going to do the same on the other side. 1 brush right down the side. After your firearm gets a little bit more wear on it, you'll start seeing wear patterns. And wherever you see a wear pattern, you're going to want to put a little bit of extra oil on it. For right now, I'm just going to take that brush where I had oil on it. I'm going to put a thin coat on most everything inside here. Alright, and I am oiling per Kimber's recommendations. Kimber recommends 1 drop of oil on each frame rail. And a drop of oil in here. Alright. I'm also going to oil right there. And I'm going to oil right there. The cool thing about this rim oil that I'm using, and the reason I use it for my concealed carry guns, is that rim oil dries. And it leaves a silicone surface behind. I'm sorry, it leaves a Teflon surface behind. Alright, so that Teflon lubricant that's in this does not dry. It doesn't dissipate. It stays in there. So it'll stay on the material even after the oil dries. And I'm going to do the same thing for the slide, for the frame. Sorry. I'm going to lubricate these rails on the frame before we put it together. Okay. You notice I'm not going to put any oil inside the barrel. If I was going to let this set for a long period of time, I would run a wet patch through the barrel, but I'm not going to. I know it's going to be shot like really soon, probably tomorrow morning. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of oil there. And that's about all you should need. Alright. Reassembly, really simple. We're going to reassemble in the reverse order we took it apart in. Remember, cant your barrel about 15 degrees. Right about there. That works about the best for me. Alright, so figure 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 40, maybe 45, something like that. You'll slide right into place. Your recoil spring guide rod, the spring end goes right there, and if you just depress it, you can actually feel the guide rod come through the end of your slide here. Alright, make sure these parts are aligned perfectly in the center. If they're not, you'll have a little problem getting your slide back on. Lastly, we're just going to put it back on the frame. So you can do this in whatever orientation you want to do it in. It should not matter at this point. Once your spring's captured in here, it's not going to fall unless you shake it. But slide these components together. Reinsert the takedown pin. Alright, so we're going to put just a little bit of pressure on it. I'm going to drop that takedown pin in there. Actually, I should have showed you this first. This takedown pin has a little channel right here on the end. Alright, that little channel has to capture that little spring. If you don't do that during reassembly, your firearm will not cycle properly. You'll know it. It's not like you will need it and find out. You'll know it immediately. Alright, so we're just going to insert that in there. Notice I'm going to put the takedown pin rotated back just a little bit. Alright, I'm going to move the slide back to where the notch in the slide is lined up with my takedown pin. Rotate it up, push it in. That's all there is to it. Easy as can be. Wipe it down so you get all the excess oil off of the outside. That's all there is to it. We just field stripped, cleaned, and reassembled the Kimber Solo. I don't know, less than 10 minutes. That's my guess. Alright, if you got any questions, you can send me an email at muzzlefirst@gmail.com. Visit my website, www.muzzlefirst.com. And there's a subscribe button on the top right hand side of this video. Like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you, and you have a good day.